The front door shook in its frame because I made sure it did. I stood outside in the cold with my keys still in my fist, waited until my husband's footsteps moved back toward the nursery, then opened the baby monitor app with my thumb trembling so badly I almost dropped the phone. Through the tiny speaker came his voice, low and calm, nothing like the man who had just begged me to stop being paranoid. He whispered, "She has no idea the deed already recorded." My name is Natalie Mercer. I'm 34 years old. That one sentence turned a bad marriage into a paper trail I was never supposed to find. The baby monitor was sitting on the dresser beside our daughter's crib, angled toward the rocking chair. It was supposed to help me hear feeding cries, not felony-level honesty. But that night, while our 8-month-old slept under a pink blanket my father had bought before he died, I listened to my husband, Evan Mercer, talk to his mother like they were finalizing a grocery list. "No," he said, "she won't check county records. Why would she?" Then a pause. "I told you, the notary didn't ask questions." My mouth went dry. 3 hours earlier, I had found a mortgage statement in Evan's laptop bag with my late father's lake house address printed on it. Not our house, not Evan's property. My father's house in Cedar Hollow, the one he had left to me in his will, the one I had been too grief-struck to visit for months, the one Evan kept saying we should rent out eventually because maintaining it was emotional clutter. When I asked him why there was a loan against it, he laughed too quickly. "It's just a refinance quote," he said. "You don't understand this stuff." That was his favorite sentence. You don't understand probate. You don't understand taxes. You don't understand how title works. And because I was exhausted, grieving, nursing a baby, and trying to keep our life from cracking open, I had let him handle paperwork I should have read myself. But the word recorded changed everything. I sat in my car at the curb with the engine off, listening to the man I married explain how my signature had been placed on a quitclaim deed I had never seen. His mother, Patricia Mercer, must have been on speaker because I heard her say faintly, "Once it's in your name, she can't just take it back." Evan answered, "Exactly. She'd need a lawyer, and she won't do that. She hates conflict." That was the part that hurt before the fear caught up. He didn't think I was stupid. He thought I was soft. I opened the county recorder's website on my phone with the baby monitor still playing in the background. My fingers moved like they belonged to someone else. Search by grantor. My name, Natalie Ann Mercer. There it was, recorded at 9:14 that morning. Quitclaim deed. Grantor, Natalie A. Mercer. Grantee, Evan Daniel Mercer. Consideration, $10. Notary, Linda K. Voss. My father's lake house, 3 bedrooms, white porch, the place where he taught me to bait a hook and balance a checkbook, had been transferred out of my name for the price of a sandwich. I clicked the image. The signature looked like mine from a distance, but not up close. The N was too narrow. The M in Mercer had a loop I never used, and beneath it was a notary stamp from a town 40 miles away on a date when I had been at our pediatrician's office, holding our feverish daughter while Evan texted me that he was stuck at work. I whispered, "Oh my God." Inside the house, Evan said, "By the time she figures it out, the equity line will be done." Equity line. So it wasn't just the deed. He had transferred my house to himself so he could borrow against it. I took screenshots of everything, the baby monitor screen, the deed image, the recording number, the timestamp. Then I did something I still think about. I stayed in the car and let him keep talking. Because for the first time in our marriage, Evan believed I was gone. And for the first time, I was finally listening. I turned on screen recording. Evan's voice came through the monitor, soft enough that I had to press the phone to my ear. "Tomorrow, I'll call Bramwell Bank and push the HELOC through. They already approved the appraisal." His mother said something I couldn't catch. "No, Natalie doesn't need to be there," Evan replied. "Her name's off title now." I almost stopped breathing. Then he added, "And after that, I'll file." File. The word landed harder than the deed. Patricia's voice became clearer. "You need custody arranged before she starts acting crazy." "She won't," Evan said. She'll cry, she'll call her sister, then she'll apologize because she always does. I stared at our dark living room windows from the curb. Behind those curtains was my baby, my father's house stolen on paper, and my husband calmly building the next trap. Patricia sighed. Just make sure there's a record. Judges like records. There is, Evan said. I've been saving her texts. My texts. The panicked ones after my father died. The midnight messages saying I couldn't stop crying. The one where I wrote, I feel like I'm disappearing, because postpartum depression had wrapped itself around my ribs and squeezed. He had saved them. Not to help me, to use them. I wanted to storm back in. I wanted to rip the nursery door open and scream so loud the walls shook. Instead, I forced myself to think like my father taught me. Never argue with a liar while he's still lying, Dad used to say. Let him finish the story, then find the receipt. So I found receipts. I emailed the screenshots and screen recording to myself, my sister Claire, and a new account Evan didn't know existed. Then I opened my calendar and pulled up the day the deed was notarized. Pediatrician appointment, 10 a.m. Receipt from pharmacy, 11:37 a.m. Photo of Lily asleep against my chest at 12:04. The deed showed it was signed before Linda K. Voss at 11:15 a.m. in Millbridge, 40 miles away. Impossible. Unless someone forged my signature and a notary lied, or unless there was no notary at all. On the monitor, Evan's footsteps crossed the nursery. I saw his shadow move over Lily's crib. For one terrible second, my instinct screamed at me to go inside and take her. Then he whispered, "Poor Natalie, she thinks love means trust." My stomach turned. I locked my car doors. Then I called the only person I knew who would answer on the first ring. Claire picked up before the second. "Nat, what's wrong?" I couldn't speak at first. If I said it out loud, it became real. "Listen to me," I whispered. "I need you to stay calm." "That means I absolutely won't." Evan forged my name on Dad's house. Silence. Then Claire said, in a voice I'd never heard from her, "Where are you?" "Outside my house." "Is Lily with him?" "Yes. Do not confront him." "I know." "Do not go inside angry." "I know. I'm coming." "No," I said quickly. "If you show up, he'll know." Claire exhaled shakily. "Then go to the police." "With what? A recording from a baby monitor and a deed I found online? He'll say I'm unstable. He's already planning that." Another pause. Then Claire said, "Call Aunt Mara." I closed my eyes. Aunt Mara was not really my aunt. She was my father's oldest friend, a retired title attorney with a laugh like gravel and a reputation for making grown men sweat across conference tables. At 10:46 p.m., I called her. She answered with, "Someone better be dead or dishonest." I looked at my house. "Dishonest?" I said. "Very." 5 minutes later, Mara had me send everything. 8 minutes after that, she called back. Her voice had no warmth left in it. "Natalie, listen carefully. That deed is defective, but it's dangerous. If he gets a loan funded before we stop it, you'll be fighting a bank, too." "What do I do?" "Tomorrow morning, you walk into the recorder's office the second it opens and request a certified copy. Then we file a fraud affidavit and a Ellis pendens if necessary." "What about Lily?" Mara went quiet. Then she said, "Tonight you act normal. Get your child. Sleep if you can. Smile if you must. But do not let that man know you know." The baby monitor crackled. Evan said to his mother, "I should go. She'll be back soon." I looked at the front door I had slammed 20 minutes earlier. Then I wiped my face, turned off the recording, and walked back toward my husband like I was still the woman he thought he could break. Evan opened the door before I reached for the knob. His face was arranged into concern, but his eyes were searching mine. "Nat," he said softly. I was worried. I let my shoulders sag. "I just drove around the block." He pulled me into a hug. I stood, there with my cheek against his shirt, smelling his expensive cologne, knowing he had just discussed stealing from me in our daughter's nursery. "I hate when we fight," he murmured. "I know." About earlier. I'm sorry I snapped. The papers were complicated. I didn't want you stressing. There it was again. Complicated. Stressing. Words he used like a blindfold. I nodded. I'm tired. His relief was almost invisible, but I felt it in the way his arms loosened. Go to bed, he said. I'll check on Lily. No, I answered too quickly, then softened it. I mean, I want to. I missed her. For a second, something sharp crossed his face. Then he smiled. Of course. I walked into the nursery and closed my hand around the edge of the crib to keep from shaking. Lily slept with one tiny fist beside her mouth. I lifted her slowly, waiting for Evan to object. He didn't, but he stayed in the doorway. I sat in the rocking chair, nursing her though she barely woke. My phone was in my robe pocket, still receiving messages from Claire. Are you safe? Answer me. Mara says don't eat or drink anything he gives you. That one made my blood turn cold in a new way. I looked up. Evan was still watching. Can you get me some water? I asked. His expression flickered. Sure. The moment he left, I kissed Lily's hair and whispered, Mommy's awake now. At 6:12 the next morning, I told Evan I was taking Lily to Claire's because I needed a break. He looked irritated before he looked sympathetic. I can watch her, he said. I know, but Claire offered, and honestly, I need my sister. He studied me over his coffee. Are you still upset about last night? I forced a tired laugh. I'm always upset lately, right? He smiled like I'd handed him a weapon. I didn't say that. No, you're right. I'm sorry. Apologizing tasted like blood. By 8:01, Lily was buckled in the back seat, and I was driving away with one eye on the rear-view mirror. Evan stood on the porch in his suit, phone already pressed to his ear. The county recorder's office smelled like dust and toner. Mara was waiting by the entrance in a navy coat, silver hair pinned back, mouth flat. She didn't hug me. She said, "Show me your ID." I did. Good. Today we become inconvenient. At the counter, I requested the certified deed. The clerk, a young man with kind eyes, printed it while Mara watched like a hawk. Then Mara asked, was the notary certificate submitted with a journal thumbprint? The clerk blinked. For real property deeds, yes, if notarized in state. He pulled up the scanned packet. There was no thumbprint. Mara's smile was terrifying. Interesting. Then she pointed at the acknowledgement line. Linda K. Voss's commission expired last year. I gripped the counter. So it's invalid? It's fraud, Mara said. Invalid is what we prove after we stop the bleeding. She had me sign an affidavit stating I had not appeared before that notary, had not signed the deed, and had not authorized any transfer. We filed it immediately. Then Mara sent a notice to Bramwell Bank's fraud department with the subject line, Urgent Forged Deed Do Not Fund. At 9:27, my phone rang. Evan. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Then a text appeared. Where are you? A second later. Natalie, answer me. Then, did you go to the recorder? Mara looked at the screen. Well, she said, now he knows something. My knees weakened. How? She took my phone, scrolled, and froze. Because Bramwell Bank just copied him on their funding hold. My phone rang again. This time, Evan left a voicemail. His voice was no longer soft. Natalie, whatever you think you're doing, you need to come home right now. You have no idea what you're messing with. Mara handed the phone back. Actually, she said, he's the one who doesn't. Mara didn't let me call Evan back. Angry men make admissions, she said. Let him write. So I sat in her office above a bakery holding Lily while my husband unraveled by text. You're confused. My mother said you sounded unstable last night. This is why I handle finances. Then finally, if you try to ruin me, I'll make sure no judge gives Lily to you. Claire read that one over my shoulder and went white. Mara only said, excellent. Custody threat tied to property fraud. Keep going. Evan. At 11:03, Bramwell Bank confirmed the loan was frozen pending investigation. At 11:18, Mara's investigator found something worse. Linda K. Voss, the notary, had been dead for 9 months. I stared at the printed obituary, but her stamp was stolen, copied, or fabricated, Mara said. Claire muttered, "He forged a dead woman?" Mara's eyes narrowed, "Or paid someone who did." That was when my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Stop digging. Ask your husband what happened to the first appraisal." Attached was a photo. It showed Evan standing on the porch of my father's lake house beside a man in a Bramwell Bank jacket. The date stamp was 6 weeks earlier. 6 weeks earlier, Evan had told me he was in Chicago. In the corner of the image, half hidden behind the porch rail, was Patricia. My skin prickled. "Who sent this?" Claire asked. "I don't know." Mara enlarged the photo, then pointed to the reflection in the window behind Evan. A woman was taking the picture from inside the house. "Someone had access," she said. "My father's house was supposed to be empty. I called the Cedar Hollow police for a welfare check and possible trespass. Mara called the sheriff directly because, of course, she knew him. 2 hours later, Sheriff Dugan called back. "Mrs. Mercer," he said carefully, "we entered through the back. No one was inside, but you need to come see this." "No," Mara cut in. "Tell me." He sighed. "There are contractor bags in the garage, files, old photographs, furniture tags. Looks like someone was clearing the place out." My throat closed. "My father's things? I'm sorry." Then he added, "We also found a lockbox forced open in the bedroom closet." I knew that lockbox. Dad kept birth certificates, the will, insurance papers, and a little velvet pouch with my mother's wedding ring. I couldn't speak. Claire took Lily from me before I dropped her. That evening, Mara drove us to Cedar Hollow in her car. We did not go alone. Sheriff Dugan met us at the driveway. The porch light was on, though I had never left it that way. Inside, the house smelled wrong, like cardboard, bleach, and strangers. My father's fishing hat was gone from the hook. His framed Navy photo was missing from the mantel. The desk drawers hung open like broken mouths. In the garage, black bags sat in a row. "Evidence," Dugan said. "Trash," Evan would have called it. Then I saw one bag had split. A stack of envelopes spilled out. My father's handwriting covered the top one. "For Natalie, if Mercer ever asks about the cabin, call Mara." I picked it up with shaking hands. Mara went very still. "What cabin?" Claire whispered. I tore the envelope open. Inside was a photocopy of a deed I had never seen, a bank statement, and a letter from my father dated 3 months before he died. "Nat, if you are reading this, I waited too long to tell you. The lake house is not the asset Evan wants." Below that, in my father's steady handwriting, was one sentence that made Mara swear out loud. "The mineral rights under Cedar Hollow were leased last year, and your share is worth more than the house." My phone rang. Evan again. This time, I answered on speaker. Before I could say a word, he hissed, "Did you find it?" Mara's eyes locked on mine. I said, "Find what?" Silence. Then Evan whispered, "Natalie, put the letter down." Mara lifted one finger to her lips, then pointed at my phone. Record. Sheriff Dugan was already doing the same. I swallowed. "Evan, why would you know about Dad's letter?" His breathing crackled through the speaker. "Because that old man was supposed to sign everything over before he died," he said. "He promised Patricia he'd help us." Mara's eyebrows rose. I kept my voice small. "Help you with what?" "The lease," Evan snapped. "The mineral rights. Do you have any idea what companies pay for extraction access now? Your father was sitting on millions and acting like it was sacred dirt." Claire whispered, "Oh my God." Evan heard her. "Who's there?" "No one," I lied. "You listen to me," he said. "That property became marital the second you stopped paying attention. You were drowning in diapers and grief. I did what had to be done. What about the forged deed? Silence. Then colder. You can't prove I signed anything. Mara mouthed, keep him talking. What about Linda Voss? I asked. She's dead, Evan. This time, the silence broke into a curse. Then Patricia's voice cut in from somewhere near him. Hang up, Daniel. Daniel, his middle name. She only used it when she was afraid. Sheriff Dugan stepped forward and spoke clearly. Mr. Mercer, this is Sheriff Dugan. I'd advise you and your mother to remain where you are. The line went dead. They didn't remain where they were. By midnight, Evan had emptied his office safe and tried to drive toward the state line with Patricia. He made it 12 miles before a deputy pulled him over. In the trunk were my father's missing files, the fake notary stamp, 2 appraisals, and my mother's wedding ring wrapped in a napkin, like it was loose change. The charges came fast: forgery, attempted bank fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. Patricia tried to blame everything on Evan until investigators found emails where she had written, "Natalie is weak now. Move before she gets stronger." She was wrong about the timing. I was already getting stronger. The deed was voided. Bramwell Bank backed away so quickly, Myra joked they left skid marks. The mineral lease went into a trust for Lily and me, protected by terms my father had prepared before he died. He had known Evan was circling. He just hadn't known how close. The custody threat died in court under the weight of Evan's own texts and recordings. The judge granted me sole physical custody while the criminal case moved forward. Evan looked at me across that courtroom like I had betrayed him. I looked back and finally understood. Some people call it betrayal when you stop being easy to steal from. 6 months later, I stood on the porch of the lake house with Lily on my hip. The stolen photos were back on the mantel. Dad's fishing hat hung by the door. My mother's ring was on a chain around my neck, warm from my skin. The baby monitor sat in a donation box inside, wiped clean. I didn't need it anymore. That evening, Lily fell asleep against me while the lake turned gold under the sunset. For the first time in over a year, the silence around me wasn't suspicious. It was safe. And I whispered into my daughter's hair, "We're home." If you were in my place, with the baby monitor in your hand and that whisper in your ear, would you have gone back inside? If this story stayed with you, tell me in the comments what you would have done in my place. And if you want more stories like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.